Welcome to Sit, Stay, Read, the podcast for every wag, whinny, and whisker. I'm Kathleen Donnelly, award-winning author and retired canine handler. Each week, I chat with novelists about the bond we share with our furry friends and how they inspire stories. Grab a coffee, get cozy with your favorite pet. It's time to sit, stay, read. I'm super excited today because I have fellow Colorado author Cam Torrens with me. Cam is amazing. He works search and rescue in Buena Vista, Colorado, and Salida area. He was a Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Writer of the Year nominee, and he shared with me Havoc, his fifth book in the Tyler Zahn series, and it's phenomenal. I'm excited. I will let all my listeners know there's not a huge four-legged presence in this book, although there is a four-legged character we will talk about. So, Cam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kathleen. I really appreciate you having me on here. It's a real honor.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. And when I started reading this book, I have a bone to pick with you because I needed to go to sleep and I couldn't. You kept me up.
That's
I got
good
up
news.
early to keep, yeah, it's a good bone to pick with you. As an author, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was phenomenal. I could not put it down. So tell us a little bit about Havoc. Tell us a little bit about Tyler Zahn and just the series.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so Havoc is the fifth in the Tyler Zahn series, as you mentioned. And Tyler Zahn is a retired Air Force veteran who's trying to find his way in the civilian world and still wants to serve. And he's kind of at the spot in his journey on this fifth book, which I believe most of them stand alone. It sounds like that worked for
Yes,
you.
yes, very
He's not
much.
only continuing to be a search and rescue volunteer, but he's a reserve deputy sheriff out here in Chaffee County. And I won't be giving any spoilers away to say that in chapter one, a Black Hawk helicopter goes down out in the Collegiate Peaks, close by to where I'm talking to you today. And in real life, we've lost three of those in the last 20 years because we have Black
Yeah.
Hawks that fly out of Eagle County out here. So that opens up the book. And his daughter and his FBI girlfriend are out hiking the Colorado Trail out by the Three Apostles. That factors into the book, and it just kind of takes off from there.
I love it. And I loved it because I'm like, wow, here's an author who truly knows Colorado and knows this area. Mount Princeton is beautiful. It's behind you on your
Right?
there. So if anyone wants to know what it looks like, go over to the YouTube channel and check it out. It's beautiful, or you could Google it, but more fun to go to YouTube. And I loved how you incorporated the high altitude training with the helicopters. I don't think many people know about that school up there. Would you tell us a little bit about it and your research with that?
Yeah, so we see the Blackhawks all the time in search and rescue, and in fact, I've probably been involved in 4 or 5 missions where HATS was the team that came in and extracted our
Okay.
subject. We recently had one on La Plata. There's a adventurous way to go up the 14er La Plata, which sits between Lake County and Chaffee County, called Ellingwood Ridge, and
Okay.
we had a mountain climber who was kind of mountain running up there, and he fell. And our team, 2 members of our team, spent the night up there, and the hats
Oh,
was able to get them out the next day. But they train out of Eagle County. They train guard units, active duty units. Their primary mission isn't search and rescue, but they're often available for our most difficult missions to support us. I was never able to get in for an appointment with them at their spot, but I did
okay.
end up meeting an instructor pilot when I was out at Moab. I was out doing a little ultra run out there, and we figured out what we had in common. So I got a chance to pepper him with questions and made a lot of changes to the book. So.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it was fantastic. I think just for listeners who aren't Coloradoans, go ahead and tell us about 14ers, what they are, and how many we have. I know what they are, but just for anyone else.
Right. So we have 14,000 foot mountains in Colorado. There's I think 54 or 58, depending
I
on
think
how
so.
you do
Yeah.
the elevation. And 14 of them are in or very close to the borders of Chaffee County. So the more than 50% of our missions are folks that run into trouble climbing these 14ers, mostly between May and September. So, and generally, I'll tell you,
Interesting.
it's usually two things. The people go up these 14ers and they think they can find a shortcut down, or people go up these
Mm,
14ers and they split up with from the party they're hiking with, and
okay.
somebody can't make it, turns around, and people get disoriented. So that makes up the bulk of our missions. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place to live.
It's amazing. Now, two questions for you. One, I know your missions are search and rescue. I know you work for the search and rescue there and do a lot. And then I'm just really curious, when people get turned around, I mean, so obviously they're going off trail. How hard is it to find them? Because they've
So
probably left where they should go, right? Is that
right. Actually, for our search missions, it's easier on the 14ers because
okay?
the shortcuts are common. There's only so many ravines down off trail, off the mountain,
Okay.
and you generally know, especially with trailheads and cars parked there, what they were trying to do. Much
Okay.
different than somewhere out by, say Grand County, and a hunter goes out missing, or this mission that we were had down in Conejos County for these two young men elk hunting earlier in the year. You might have heard about
I did hear about that.
that,
Yes.
right? And so
Yes.
we went down there for mutual aid on day 5 or 6 of that search, and we were involved in and recovering those two hunters
Okay.
and getting them out of there. But that was much tougher when
Yeah.
you're really not sure and you're having to segment the areas and do probability of search and bring in assets like dogs to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the canines and search and rescue. And I do want to get back to the book because, like I said,
right.
it's been one of my favorites. But we were talking before we hopped on about a very famous case in Colorado and the canines that were brought in. And it sounds like in this case as well. Would you tell us a little bit about the Suzanne Morphew case and how you were involved?
Yeah, I will. So normally, if we're bringing in dogs for a search and rescue mission, we go through the state search and rescue, and we talk about the type of dog we need, and they source the dog statewide. But
Okay.
most of our missions aren't like where we're called in for a law enforcement type case, which is what the Suzanne Morphew case. It didn't start off being that, but within hours it was being treated as a law enforcement case. So
Okay.
in that one, that was Mother's Day, I think 4 years ago, maybe 5. And so we ended up bringing in the dogs from the Buena Vista Correctional Center to help us search for Miss Morphew. And so we had found her bike, and we'd found a bicycle helmet separated by several hundred meters. And
Okay.
they brought the dogs in from the prison with their handlers, and
Okay.
they didn't have any luck that night. I was telling you earlier, we had some mix up with the articles of clothing, the scent stuff, and so
Mhm.
obviously we weren't successful. But that was our first interaction with, or my first interaction with working with dogs on search and rescue.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating. Um, they seem like such a good asset, but they also seem like they have to be used in very specific ways, just from what I know. So.
Right, then you know quite a bit, a lot more than I do.
Oh, I don't know about that. I know about drug dogs. I did that, but
Uh,
search and rescue, although there's a lot of similarities. But
uh,
yeah, but the actual search and rescue, holy cow. So the area you live in, how many 14ers have you climbed yourself?
I'm right around 23 or 24. I'm not sure I'm going to
Amazing.
get to them all. The 23 or 24 that I've climbed, several of them I've been up multiple times, and a whole bunch I've
Yeah.
been up part way because we were trying to find people. So,
Okay. That's,
uh,
yeah. I mean, and people should realize there's a lot of factors. And I think one of the most surprising ones, I had someone from out of state who wanted to climb Long's Peak, and they said, I have to start at 2 in the morning. And I said, yeah, because you want to be off that mountain when the thunderstorms roll in, right? But what other factors are there in climbing these mountains that get people into trouble?
well, if you're going up, I've done a couple in the winter, and another
Oh,
reason for
wow.
wanting to do an early start is because by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, if it's a sunny day, which you try to pick in the winter
Hmm.
for a 14er, right?
Yeah.
The sun will start melting that snow that you're trying to get back down. And even, so most of the
Okay.
deep snows, tree line and below, but when the sun gets on that, even with snowshoes, you can really post hole through the deep
Really?
snow. And so the earlier you can get going, the earlier you can come back and still have a crust on top of that snow. so you're not breaking
Okay.
through it. That's another factor. The great part about climbing late fall and through the winter is you almost never get a thunderstorm. You might get a
Right.
snowstorm, and we try to
Yeah.
encourage people to avoid those mountains during when forecast snow is in the way, but never
Yeah.
get the thunderstorms like you get all summer.
Yeah, yeah, those thunderstorms are something. My husband and I did the Longs Peak Trail. We had no intention of trying to summit. We were just out for a nice hike and a thunderstorm rolled in just even where we were, and it was scary.
Right.
That lightning, it was very scary.
Were you up in that by that boulder field before you climb up through the slot?
Oh, we hadn't even gone that far. I was
Yeah.
laughing in your book. You talk about the couch potato city folks, and I was like, oh, I think that's me.
Uh,
So we weren't that far. I'm not that, I have never made it to the Boulder Field. Maybe someday, but
so
yeah.
that's a good little hike. I think
Yeah.
that's probably about 5 or 6 miles up.
Yeah,
So
I think it is. We were probably just about a mile in.
yeah.
We were starting a little later in the day and we knew it, so we thought, oh, we'll just go a little ways. And sure enough, we still managed to get ourselves caught. Scary.
And you can see Long Peak from your house, right?
I can, yeah. We have a great view of Longs
Yeah.
Peak and Meeker. So, and I know Meeker is not technically a 14er, but I like to put her like I'm like, ah, you're just as good.
Right.
So they're together there. I was curious. So back to your book, Havoc. I loved some of the things you wrote in there, like how women out hiking would rather come across a bear than a man, which I agree with. If I was out hiking by myself, I would much rather come across a bear than a strange guy. So you had that mixed in with Daria and Emma on the trail. They're hiking the Colorado Trail. This is not an easy thing. And then you just kept upping the tension. So without spoilers, if you can tell us a little bit about that part of the story and what inspired that.
Well, I knew I was going to write about the Colorado Trail. So when I
Okay.
retired from the Air Force, I did 30 years in the Air Force before I started doing this
Wow.
writing thing. And when I retired from the Air Force, I hiked the Appalachian Trail. So took me about 4 months. That was my
Wow.
wife's retirement gift to me, was to let me go hiking while she sold the house. And
I
and
love it.
so the I thought that the journey on the trail, was going to be the highlight of the trip, but it was the people. I'd heard that, and it was absolutely true.
Yeah.
And so I met a lot of women on the Appalachian Trail and got a chance to talk to them about that. And I also have two daughters in their 20s, and my
Okay.
oldest daughter is a hiker. As a matter of fact, her and I have a Pacific Crest Trail permit for 5 April, and
Wow.
we're gonna hike the Pacific Crest Trail together. But she's
Nice.
already been on a couple hikes where uh, I've been concerned and I've talked with her about it. And
Mhm.
so I'm not the first person to use this rather encounter a bear person, but I had read accounts.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I think she lives up by you. Becky Jensen is a freelance writer. She just put out a book called No Man's Land about hiking the
Okay.
Colorado Trail.
Oh,
Just
yes, she
just
did.
came out in
Yes.
September. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got a chance for an early read on that. And reading her book probably had more influence on that particular section of my book than anything else. So I wanted the Colorado Trail in there because I've been piecemealing hiking it myself. I've got 300
Okay.
miles of the 480 done,
Wow.
and I had been through that stretch. And so it was important to me, that I write a book about a trail. And
Yeah.
so that was what got that part. And then the other part with the helicopter crash, in chapter
Mhm.
one, I had done some research because I was fascinated about the crash on Mount Massive and the several other crashes that we'd had, and I just did a lot of brainstorming about how I could tie those two things together.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love how you did that. And it came together beautifully. And then you tied in, as I was reading, I'm going to go ahead and give one little spoiler, which is we get a little bit into a previous mission and some of the artifacts that maybe were stolen from Iraq. And I'd read articles here and there about finding artifacts and maybe some stolen, but it was one of those things I've never really paid attention to till now. So in your service, which thank you very much for your service to our
Thank
country,
you.
And in your service, did you run across artifacts? You were in Desert Storm, is that right?
So I was in the tail end of Desert Storm. Most of my time in
Okay.
the Middle East was during the Iraq War,
Okay.
starting in 2002, going through 2009. I probably
Okay.
spent a total of 3 years over in the desert. So I did a lot of helicopter time, uh,
Okay.
riding just in the west or eastern part of Iraq. So I'd had experience being low to the ground over Iraq and some memories of
Okay.
that. And I was
Wow.
on several truck convoys that went across Iraq from Kuwait. I was based out of Kuwait.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of experience with that country. I was not in Iraq during the time period we talked about when
Okay.
ISIL was rising up again and the Iraqi army was putting them
Mhm.
down. But those treasures of Nimrud that I talk about in the book that's a real thing, and
That's what I thought. Okay.
that's pretty interesting.
It was fascinating and such great motive. And you have a twist at the end. I will not say a word, but I was reading it and I was like, oh my God, how did he do that? You set it up perfectly because it was a believable twist. So just congratulations on that. I just have to get
Thanks,
that out
Kathleen.
there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone reading this, you want a good thriller, there's an amazing twist there at the end. I was like, whoa. That makes sense. I didn't see it coming. Now you do have a four-legged character. We're going to talk about her just or him. I'm sorry,
Him.
him.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Him a little bit. Amore. He came from some previous books, which I gotta go read all of them now because it was so good. But tell us a little bit about Amore.
So Moray, like you said, he first showed up in my second book called False Summit, and he was one of Tyler Zahn's search and rescue teammates' dog. And by the end of the book, the Amori ended up in Tyler Zahn's care, which he assumed would be a temporary thing. But here we are on book five, and Amori is an important part of Zahn's life, and he never professed to be a dog guy, and I'm not sure yet that he would profess to be a dog guy, but he doesn't go any place without that dog if he doesn't have to.
Well, and I loved it because I was coming in. This was my first book of yours I'd read, and all of a sudden he's worried about his dog at home. He realizes the dog hasn't been let out, and he gets a neighbor to care for it, and it flowed beautifully in this story. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I thought there's got to be more with this dog and
Uh,
some other, yeah. Yeah, and you left open a mystery. This is why I have to go back and read. And so you can decide how much to say, but you left open a mystery of a character that Tyler worked with. And it
mhm.
sounds like, will this be book six?
So, I talked about how I felt each book stood on its own, but there
Yeah.
is a one thread that goes through that's in common to all these books, and that thread, yeah, continues through to the next book, and I feel like I don't spend a ton of time on it, but I feel like I give enough sentences that the reader can kind of figure
Oh,
out
yeah.
what's going on with it. So definitely will be addressed in book six. So book six comes out in
Nice.
September. It's called Diverted, and
Okay.
uh, and it's based in Buena Vista, but it's a river book. It's about river and music in Buena Vista, and
Okay.
kind of
Oh,
a inner
interesting.
twisting of those two things. So excited
Okay.
about that.
Definitely. Yeah. Are they all set in Buena Vista or are they
I've got a prequel. It was the fourth book I
okay.
published called Damaged, and it's set in Buena Vista, but most of the action takes place up in Frisco,
Oh, nice.
Dillon
Okay.
Reservoir up there.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. That's a neat area. So, oh, wow. Okay. Well, I can't wait to go back and read more because, like I said, it was fantastic.
Thanks.
So, yeah. So, I think we've covered a lot that we can with without giving away too much. Again, it was that twist just blew me away. I was like, that was brilliant. Where can readers find out more about you and connect with you and find out more about your books?
Yeah, so I have a website called camtorrens.com is the website address, and I call myself a reader, a writer, a runner, and a ruminator. And so on my website, I have a blog and I write some true stories about my military
Okay.
past, some things that I'm thinking about. Every once in a while, I'll write something about some running I'm due. I should call it jogging, but the R thing was working well. So because I don't move too fast, but I do it every day.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
so you can find out about my books on the website as well. And the book that you read, Havoc, actually releases December 18th. And
Cool.
so I've had that hard copies for a little while now, so I'm really getting excited to get it
Yeah.
out there for the public to read. But I also have a
Yeah.
Facebook page, Cam Torrens Writer, that folks can
Okay.
find me at, that I talk a lot about my writing and mostly use it to support fellow authors that I write with or that I've met
Oh,
along the way, like yourself. I've enjoyed
well,
reading
thank
your work.
you. Thank you. Yeah, you're an amazing supporter with other people's work and with Rocky Mountain fiction writers and everything. So thank you very
Well,
much.
I tell you that I've been a lifelong reader, and when I retired and said, "Oh, I want to try to write something like what I've been reading," um, I spent a lot of time working at it by myself before somebody talked me into joining the Writers Club out here. And
Mhm.
I almost think now that I do more writing just so I can stay in this writing people that I've met than I do for the actual enjoyment of writing. I never expected to find such a great community. That's been the highlight of the whole thing.
Oh, that's fantastic. Writers are great. I mean,
Uh,
I know in my journey there's just been so much support and it's so fun to meet someone like you and another
yeah, same.
Colorado author.
I've
So,
already added to my book read list from a couple of the authors that you've interviewed. I'm trying to
oh,
remember
good.
the guy up in the Northeast in Maine. Loved that one, and he's writing with
Oh,
another
yes.
author. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was Bruce. Bruce
yeah,
Coffin.
Bruce Kahn.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
His book was really good too. And yeah, yeah, that was a fun interview. I think that was the second or third episode. So if anyone's listening and wants to go back, Crimson Thaw was the book. Really good book. So
yeah. Looking
yeah.
forward to reading his stuff.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And everyone, the book is Havoc. If you need a good escape from the holidays and a great thriller, this one will keep you. Just don't start it until you have time to finish it. That's my advice. So, Cam, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Kathleen. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. And everyone, until next time, keep your tails wagging and pages turning. Thanks for joining me today. Sit, Stay, Read is a part of the Authors on the Air Global Network. If you enjoyed today's author interview, be sure to leave a review and share the episode with a fellow animal-loving reader. If you're curious about the world of working dogs and wilderness adventures, please check out my books at KathleenDonnelly.com. Until next time, curl up with your best furry friend and sit, stay, read.